Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Healing Circle number 42. And for those who celebrate, happy Thanksgiving. We have an exciting show planned today. We have a very special guest, and I'm really excited to introduce you. Her name is Sha, and she is known internationally as the Loon Witch. She is a Reiki master teacher. She does holistic medicine, Chinese holistic medicine, tarot, runes, angel readings, and so much more. Welcome, Sha. Welcome, the Loon Witch.
Thank you, Jean. That's a lovely welcome, and happy Thanksgiving to you and everybody who does celebrate. I guess all of us in North America, or most of us in North America, I suppose.
Yes. I think it's important to be grateful every day.
I agree. I just posted that last night to Facebook because I am somebody, I do practice gratitude every day. You know, even when there's challenges in my life, I might not be as happy, but I am grateful for those challenges because they're always something that I learn from.
Absolutely. I say that all the time too. Like, I'll post on Facebook, lessons are also gifts and blessings. And I can just imagine what some of them, not everybody, but what some of them must think in the moment when they're reading it. Like, yeah, right, okay.
Yes, I think that when people cut me off in traffic, I think, all right, I know this is some kind of blessing. I'm not really sure what the blessing is right now. And I try to put myself in other people's shoes too. I do get a little bit, because I live in Massachusetts and we're known for our awful drivers. But I do get a little bit heated when I get cut off on the highway. And I think, well, maybe they have some place that they have to be, or maybe they didn't realize that they had to be on the other side of the highway in the next 50 feet until just now.
And I bless them too.
Yep.
I do, because I'm thinking just in case they are in a hurry, or maybe they're in an emotional place, you know, that's why they're driving like that. I bless them to keep them safe and to keep the other drivers safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I sometimes bless them also in a different way, just the single finger blessing.
Well, I used to do the peace sign.
Yeah.
I used to go peace, peace, peace. And now it's like, no, you need blessings because so that you don't hurt somebody who's innocent, you know.
Exactly.
On the road. Yeah, yeah. So tell us about yourself, Loon Witch.
There's so much to tell, and yet when people ask, I often get stumped about what I should talk about. So I'll begin at the beginning. You know,
you were really young when you started doing reading cards, weren't you? Like 12 or something?
I was 12 when I got my first deck of cards, and it was the Gypsy Witch fortune-telling cards, which are a regular deck of playing cards, and then they have like little pictures with really tiny, tiny words on them. And as you can see, I wear glasses, so I don't see that well. I've worn glasses my whole life. And so I never really read the words. I just kind of looked at the picture and would tell people based on how I felt about that card or that image, because the deck doesn't really come with instructions.
In those days, they probably really didn't.
Right. No, you know, I'm looking to see if I have one over here nearby, but I don't. So I didn't really know what I was supposed to do with them. So I just would lay them out and tell people what I thought. But I've been psychic my whole life, and I've called myself a witch my whole life, as far back as I can remember, because when I was really small, 5 or 6, you know, I used to do omen telling, which back then I didn't know what I was doing. I was just a kid. I think my parents were happy that I entertained myself. I would, you know, look at the signs. If a bird was flying in the wrong direction for that time of year, or if a flower had all of a sudden popped out at the wrong time, you know, the wrong time of year, but against the grain, I found that to be very symbolic and meaningful. So I would tell anybody that would listen to me, you know, what I thought about it. And I would say, oh, I just, you know, I saw this water lily and it bloomed at noontime, you know. So that must mean that some weather change is coming or something is happening. And nobody ever said, stop doing that, you're weird. They all were like, oh, that's interesting, you know? So I just never stopped. And I grew
That's
up on a,
great that you were encouraged that way.
yeah, I'm very blessed. That is one of the blessings in my life, is that no one ever said that I was weird or strange or bad for doing those things until I was older. You know, and then they didn't really say it, but people, you know, they kind of look at you like, all right, you're kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, they'd move a couple steps away. So it was probably when I got into high school that I started to try and hide that part of myself, except to my really close friends. And I didn't really talk about it too much. And, you know, I would, instead of saying that I was a witch loud and proud to everybody, I just would keep it to those people that were really close to me, you know. And then once I got out of high school and got into my early 20s, I had my son when I was 23. And from that point on, I just said, the heck with it. You know, I am who I am, and it's not worth trying to hide it from people. I had friends in the workplace who were like, oh, I want you to come to church with me. And I would go. I enjoy going to church and listening to a good sermon, just, you know, like a lot of people do. Feel like there's lessons to be learned no matter what religion it is, you know. And when I tell people that I don't practice a religion, I practice a lifestyle, they look at me like, oh, well, isn't witchcraft a religion? But it really isn't. It's a way of life. You know, there are a lot of religions that are, that must be Tiger Lily. I saw that look.
It is Tiger Lily. She's a talker. Sorry for interrupting you.
So, yeah, so I mean, witchcraft, you know, Wicca is the religion that a lot of witches practice, but witchcraft itself is, it's a lifestyle. It's living in harmony with nature. It's living the sun and finding your balance in the whole universe, but also knowing out of our control. There are many, many forces that are out of our control, and we have to find the balance within all of those, you know, sometimes opposing energies, and we have to help those energies come into harmony and in balance themselves. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. The quick version.
Well, would you share some about your Chinese medicine that you do?
Actually, it's funny because my friend Michelle and I had the same teacher. We both went to the American Institute of Natural Healing, and she went on and became a doctor of naturopathy, and I wanted to do reflexology and acupressure. And part of the course study to do that was also to learn the Chinese herbology. So all of they have a lot of, it's interesting because I learned all that stuff long before I ever went to China, and thought, you know, I'm never going to go to China, not ever going to speak Chinese, you know.
Oh, yeah, and now you are with your job.
You know, and using all of the parts of an animal or a plant to bring harmony to the body. Like back in the Middle Ages and up through the colonial times, and even into the early 1800s, you know, healing was all about the humors in the body, like the elements in the body, the air, the fire, the water.
Right.
And in the Chinese elements, they have air, fire, water, earth, metal, and wood. You know, so they have a couple more elements in there to balance. But it's kind of the same philosophy. So the Chinese medicine that I although I don't practice it much, so I use my reference books a lot when I do. it's based on acupressure and knowing finding the different pressure points, because I'm afraid of needles. So acupuncture, it sounds a little bit too invasive for me, but acupressure, finding the pressure points and where those pressure points relate to other places in the body, was really what I wanted to learn more about. I felt like it was a good complement to practicing Reiki and doing reflexology. When I finish a Reiki treatment on somebody, I like to finish it with a little reflexology foot massage to kind of help them get grounded and really pull all that good energy into the body and have it grounded in the body. Plus, people like having their feet rubbed. So
I was just going to say, it feels really good having
it does, yeah.
I love it.
So I've tied that in with the Reiki. And then using the Chinese herbology, it's really interesting because now here in the United States and in the Western part of the world, you buy, I'm looking because I might have a bottle of something somewhere. You can tell I'm in my magic room because I have stuff everywhere. No, maybe I don't have a bottle. But they're capsules that you buy, and they're combinations of different herbs that are ground into the capsules. And that combination helps to, tone or bring into balance different organ and muscle systems in the body. So learning that and then looking at Western herbalism and how, lavender and ylang ylang and sandalwood and, all of these different herbs and resins, whether it's through incense or taking it internally, drinking it as a tea, or just making a potpourri to have in your home, bring those things into balance. It's kind of cool. But when the first time I went to Hong Kong was, it was in 2008 was my first trip. And I walked by an apothecary and they had all of these in the window. It was closed, but in the window, they had all of these different creatures, and parts of the creature showcased in these little plexiglass cases. So they had like a seahorse, and the seahorse was it was like a cross section of the seahorse, so you could see like the skeleton of the seahorse, because they grind that into a powder, put it in a capsule, and they use that as medicine. So they had the actual animal that they were using, so you could see like the cross section of these.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, it was kind of gross, but really cool. Because I was never thought about that. I have a picture of it someplace from my first trip.
The cool part is seeing the whole, where it came from. So I would think in a way that would be a good thing. I take out the gross part, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit alarming when you're walking on the street and all of a sudden you look into a lighted window and you see starfish and shrimp and seahorse skeletons and, and the paws of some animals and things like that. And you're like, oh, wow.
Isn't it so interesting, though, how they got the intuitive information to figure that all out?
Right, exactly. And I'm sure, some of it is intuitive, and I bet you a lot of it is trial and error,
right.
Because this animal is very strong and we want to bring that strength into our life. So therefore, where's the strength in that animal? I'm going to take where that strength is from. And I feel like, a lot of hunting rituals, when a boy goes out hunting, well, we should say a boy or a girl, but when a boy goes out hunting for the first time and he makes that first kill, part of that ritual is to take the heart of that animal into themselves, and they'll eat it raw, to honor the animal, but also to assimilate themselves as a hunter and feel empowered, and I feel like that's probably a big foundation of Chinese medicine, and maybe even Native American medicine as well, where they're honoring that animal and saying, I respect and honor you so much. I want to take a part of you, that essence of you, into myself, So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
it's only 10:15, so we've got lots of time.
Oh my goodness. I like your Tinkerbell cup.
Oh, thanks. I when I took my children to Disney World years ago, my daughter and I each got a Tinkerbell mug.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so when I don't take it on road trips with me, but I figured, house sitting it was safe to travel,
Yeah, it's not too far, right?
Yeah, because I love fairies. I have a fairy garden in my yard, and my daughter was the one who told me about them being in the yard because she could see them and talk to them.
Oh,
When
wow.
she was younger, she turned that off, and before we sold my mom's house, we were at my mom's house one day, and Tara, that's my youngest daughter, started giggling, and I'm like, "What's so funny?" And she probably was maybe 9 or 10 or 11,
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm your childhood fairies from when you were little are showing me like a movie of you playing with them when you were little."
Oh.
Isn't that the coolest? And I asked them if they would like to come back to Vermont
Yeah.
and be in my fairy garden, and they said yes. So the day we went back, they all got in the car and came.
Wow, that must have been a very exciting trip.
It was an exciting trip.
Yeah. I try to keep the fairies outside. I don't like them to come in. I find that they can be very disruptive because I only have one child who's now 24, but I find that when the fairies come into the house, because I'm not a good housekeeper. My house is not like neat as a pin, and I have a lot of stuff everywhere.
Yep, my house is like that too.
I know where everything is, and
Yeah.
I find that all of a sudden I can't find something that I know exactly where it's supposed to be, but somehow it's not there.
Yes.
And then you have to put out the offerings and make nice with the fairies and and all of that. I will be visiting I'm visiting Ireland in April.
Oh, how exciting. Is that through work or vacation?
No, it's a vacation. It's I'm going with a group of women and it's a Sacred Steps journey.
Nice.
This is the same group that I went with. I went to Wales and Stonehenge about, I'm going to say 6 years ago. Yeah, I guess about 6 years ago, we celebrated the autumn equinox in a private ceremony inside Stonehenge. So it was just the 13 of us. It was totally amazing. And they go on a trip every other year. And I haven't been able to go because it's not the same time every year. So my work schedule just hasn't really synced up with their schedule. And then I saw the Ireland trip. And we're going to go to Bridget's Well. And we're going to go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was like, I have to figure out how to go. And the trip is in April, which is usually not necessarily a quiet time, but not as chaotic as the fall is for me. So I was like, I'm definitely going to do it.
Good for you. How long will you be gone?
10 days.
Nice.
Yeah, 10. I'll actually be gone a little bit longer than the 10 days because a friend of mine is coming with me. And we decided that we're going to leave 4 days early over a weekend. And we're going to fly into Dublin and do a little exploring. And then we'll meet up with the rest of the girls that following Wednesday at the Shannon Airport. So
That's going to be a great trip.
yeah,
I love trips like that.
you'll have to watch my Facebook for all of my photos.
Yes, I will, because I haven't been on a trip like that in 10 years since I've been to Peru.
Wow.
And I love those trips when you're doing sacred ceremonies and, meditating at certain sites, sacred sites, I mean, because you really get a lot out of it. I want to walk the Mary ley lines.
Oh, yeah.
Here in England, I happened to meet the man who did it, who spent years, I think 20 years with another guy mapping it out. He actually lives in Shelburne, Vermont half the year and the other half in England. But yeah, I'd like to do that, and I'd like to visit Stonehenge, but I'd really like to walk those ley lines.
Yeah.
And I really want to go to the island of Iona.
Oh, yeah. I would love to go to Sweden because that's where a lot of my mother's family is from.
Oh, I've been there. I love Sweden.
Really?
You would love it.
Yeah, I would love to go. Both of my my mother's grandparents are both from the same village in Sweden, which I imagine now is more of like a town. But they came 16 years apart. So they met in Providence, Rhode Island. They didn't meet there, but then as it turns out, they're from the same town, the same village. I know, it's so cool. So I would love to go there, and I would love to go to Scotland. Yeah, because my father's side is English, but from the northern part of England. Because my last name is Blackburn, and there's Blackburn, England, which is, obviously where my ancestors are from. And that it's in the northern part, very close to the Scotland area. And I've been reading the Outlander series, which is also now a TV show. But I've been reading the books, and I just finished the last novel, and I want her to write more. It's so good.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. I listen to a lot of them on audio because I drive so much, and the woman who narrates she does such a great job. You care about the characters, it's phenomenal. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll go there. But I kind of feel Spirit is telling me that the Ireland trip is probably my last big overseas vacation before I step out of my corporate job and really embrace my Loon Witch business as my only income. I can't say as a full-time career because it is really full-time.
It is. It really is. And, a lot of people don't realize that just sitting down and making a list of contacts is working.
Exactly. When I dated a man, he's about 20 years older than me, many, many years ago. And he had said to me, he saw me as a household name. And it's kind of funny because he said, are you sure you want to call yourself the Loon Witch? And in our mastermind group, I always talk about the importance of branding yourself, right? Like, who do you want to be known as?
Yep.
Remember you. And I said to him, I am the Loon Witch. I can't be somebody else, And he said, well, don't you think that the word witch will turn people off? And I said, no, I don't. I said, if people are turned off by it, then they're not the right clients for me. I said, and even if I've had people who've come and, and they kind of giggle and they're like, oh, are you really a witch? And I say to them, yeah, I really am. Like, I wouldn't run around calling myself a witch
Excuse me.
just for giggles. But what I like about it is that I have a big banner. It says the Loon Witch, reading, spells, and healings. And when I set up in an event and they see my 6-foot banner, everyone reacts to it. Nobody walks by and has no reaction. I have not seen one person walk by, look at it, and have no facial expression or physical reaction to it. A lot of times people will laugh and they'll say, oh yeah, ha ha ha. But then they come in and they ask questions, so I feel like where he was nervous that I was calling myself a witch, it was probably the best move I ever made, because no matter what, it gets a reaction out of people, and it gets people to approach me either in jest, or in skepticism, or, wow, I'm so glad that you are out here calling yourself a witch and making it kind of okay for the rest of us to be witches as well, So I think I've been branding myself as the Loon Witch for close to probably about 30 years, so people.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, since we're talking about this subject, because I'm curious. Um, what do you think? What do you think witches were originally called? Do you think they were originally called medicine women?
Well, I think that there's a
Because
lot.
obviously the witch came in when religion decided to persecute, correct?
Well, which in a lot of different language means wise woman or wise person or healer. You know,
Okay.
so it wasn't always a negative word. It just, yeah, you're right. It became a negative word when it was a threat to the male-oriented society, when it was a threat to religion, when it was a threat to anyone in power, like when the doctors came in to play and they were mostly men, you know, and they wanted to heal through science. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but they came in and to thwart other people from that power, they said, oh, these witches, they're bad. You know, these wise women, these midwives, they're bad. And we can't have that because that goes against science.
Right.
When you
Right.
think
Yeah.
about it, herbalism and understanding, you know, that wise woman, that healing craft, it doesn't really go against science. They can go hand in hand, you know? I
I
mean,
think,
Volkswagen
yeah, I think
Park
it's
is
fear. I think they went into fear.
they did because it was more about I feel like it was more about the role of the sexes, you know, and it was like now the men have to have the power over the women because they're the hunters and they're the primary breadwinners and they're the protectors and this and that. And then to have these women who were smarter than or, you know, braver than or more intuitive, who had some sort of secret knowledge, made them uncomfortable, you know. And so we moved into that male oriented society, and now I feel that the power, if you will, is shifting back towards the feminine.
Yes, I agree with you.
You know, I'm not sure why it's happening, but I
We're going
definitely
to take a
feel.
break in 1 minute just to let you know. Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah, I'm not sure why that shift is happening, but I do feel that it's something that's happening. You know, because the gender roles seem like they're getting blurred, and I'm a traditional person. You know, if I didn't have to work two jobs, I would be happy to stay at home and keep my house nice and cook dinner for my husband and things like that. But the reality is I have to earn a living, you know. I have to make money to support the family as much as my husband does. So if we want to live the lifestyle that we live, that both of us have to work. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I'm just turning on my phone and making sure that it's all right. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
I love your smile. And if you want to participate in the water blessing, you're welcome to. And we'll be right back.
All right.
Okay, Shah, we go live in about 18 seconds, and we have a bunch of call-ins.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I
Your
just
shoes will go
water
live
in my
in
cup.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Log Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome, Blog Talk listeners. You are joining the Healing Circle number 42. And I'm Jean Selch. Welcome. And we have a very special guest today, Loon Witch. And her name is also Shah. And I'm really excited that she's here. And we've been having some great conversation. So let's just do the water blessing really quick right now. And then Shah, would you like me to pick up some calls?
Yeah, that sounds great. I have water.
All right, awesome. Okay, everyone. Charging it, clearing it, and charging it now. And it's ready.
Cheers.
Cheers. Blessings to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I love this conversation that we're talking about. So should we see if any of these callers want to come on and talk to us, or?
Yeah, I think that's great.
All right, because you're on today, so I wanted you to make that decision.
Let's find out what's going on in the universe.
All righty, let's. I'm picking up caller 207, area code 207. Welcome. Did you have a question, or were you just listening?
Yeah, I have a question. But is she reading cards today?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Hello, are you reading cards today?
I don't know, Shah. Are you pulling any cards for people today, or just talking?
I was planning on just talking, but I do always have cards handy, so I could pull a card today.
Okay, Loon Witch is going to pull a card for you.
I just need her first name and a question.
Thank you very much.
Please say your first name and what your question is.
My name is Dee, and I want to know what she sees about moving.
Okay. Well, I got cards. Hold on. I got cards leaping out of the deck. Okay. So what I see about moving for you, I'm going to tell you, I want you to be patient with the move, because I feel like where you want to go and where you're going to end up are two different places right now, and making a hasty decision isn't really going to help you. I feel like you need about 8 months before you'll know exactly where you're supposed to move to, and look a little bit further south than where you currently live.
Okay, probably, yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks for calling in.
All right, thank you for calling in. Bye-bye. I'm putting you back on hold, Happy Thanksgiving.
It's a good thing I'm in my magic room, because I have cards everywhere.
All right. Area code 617, did you want to be on the air, or were you just listening?
Actually, I would love a reading.
All right, well, Loon Witch just needs your first name and one question.
Sure, absolutely. It's Annette.
Okay. Hi, Annette. What's your question?
To work.
Okay, what's your question about work?
The question is, I'm actually looking to make a job change beginning of the year.
At the beginning of the year? Okay. So what I see for you, Annette, the beginning of the year, I think that's the right time to make sure your resume is in order, and to make social connections with people in the industry that you want to be in. But I feel like it would be better for you to make the change in the spring. So probably more March or April would be a good time for the actual physical change, but the beginning of the year is a good time for the social aspect.
Okay.
Okay? Great. Well, thanks for calling in. Happy Thanksgiving, Annette.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Many blessings. Many blessings. Bye-bye.
Bless you.
Thanksgiving card readings.
Good morning, caller. Did you want to be on hold or did you have a question?
I had a question.
Okay.
I was wondering if, my name is Trish, and I was wondering if you could give me a reading around where my relationship may be heading.
Okay, hold on. Let's see what we got for you, Trish.
Okay.
So what I see for you right now, I do feel like your relationship is on hold. And I'll tell you, in the next couple of weeks, you're going to discover, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I feel like you're going to discover what that person has been hiding from you. I don't want to say hiding because I feel like it's, they just don't want to talk about something that's been bothering them in their life. And it will affect the relationship, but I feel like it's going to affect the relationship in a positive way because it removes the obstacle from this holding pattern, and you're able to make better decisions, both of you together. So I feel like in the next 2 weeks, there's going to be kind of that big break of movement that you need. Okay.
Great. No, that's interesting. So you do readings in New Bedford?
I do. Yes.
Okay. I'll go to your website so I can talk to you about a more in-depth reading.
Okay, great.
All right. Well,
Thank you and happy Thanksgiving.
thank you
Happy
for calling in. Happy Thanksgiving.
Gonna have a busy weekend.
Yes, you are. How exciting.
Definitely.
It's so interesting. I love people. People are very interesting.
They definitely are. I'll tell you, I used to be on an FM radio show. I was on once a month in the morning, and I would go on for an hour and do readings. And the first time I ever did it, one of the DJs said, don't be nervous. And I was terrified because I had never done a distance reading before. I'd always had people,
Yeah.
right in front of me. And she said to me, I believe in you. I say that to you all the time, right?
Yep.
That was all I needed. And that caller came in and I did the reading and they were so thrilled with the information. And they were like, oh my God, how did you do that? That was amazing. And that was all I needed. I was on that show for 10 years.
Wow. And it is amazing because, like myself, channeling the ascended masters, usually for me, when I'm in that channeling mode or I'm doing a healing is when I'll get guided messages for people.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that I still can't, because I can.
Right.
But like I have a friend in New Jersey who said, I'll get a group of, come down. I'll get a group of people in for you to do your thing. And I said, okay, Mother Mary's going to talk. Okay. So it all went very well, but the interesting thing was when it was all done and over with, that's not what they were expecting. They were expecting me to say, oh, your grandmother is coming in, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Oh, your uncle is coming in, blah, 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 blah. Your pet, blah, blah,
Right.
And I said to her, I said, well, that's not what you asked me. You asked me to come and do my Mother Mary thing.
Right. I find, it's interesting because you and I were talking about some of the deaths that have been in my life over the last, from May until now. And people say to me, oh, well, do you do mediumship? And I say, I can, but it's more of a challenge for me to do the mediumship. And I feel it's because when someone passes away, I want them to rest in peace. If they want to come through, fine. They know how to get a hold of me. I had asked my mother-in-law, she was in the hospital and she wasn't doing too well. And so she and I were sitting there talking and I said, so do you think that you'd ever come through and like want to talk to me after you're gone. And she said, you know, I don't know, but if I'm going to, I guess I'll know how to do it when I get there.
And has she, I mean, is your mom still in the physical form, or?
No, my mother-in-law passed away
Oh, your mother-in-law, okay.
Labor Day weekend, and I have to say that there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about her, you know, and I think about her a lot. And I don't know that she's really come through and said, I have a message for my children or I have a message for you, but there are little things that I feel or sense that make me realize I was closer to her than I thought I was, you know, and make me realize that, yeah, she's still around. There's a part of her that's still very much around, you know, that.
And do you also agree that physically deceased relatives will stay in the background if they think that the person emotionally can't handle it? Like my mother, as an example, when she was living with me, would say, how come I can see all my brothers and sisters? She was the last sibling out of 13 to pass. But I can't see my mother. Now, she never cared whether or not she saw her father, which I know she loved her father, but really, she lost her mom when she was 12. So she wanted to see her mother.
Yep.
So I said, I don't know. I said, why don't I call her in and ask her, right?
Right.
So I invited her in and I asked her, and my grandmother said, because she wouldn't be able to emotionally handle it.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And so I explained that to my mother, and she accepted it with disappointment, of course.
Yeah.
But she accepted it.
Yeah. I think it's hard, you know, it's hard to miss somebody so much, you know, and want that connection. But then when you get that connection again, it's like you have to grieve for that person all over again.
Well, yes, for some people.
Yeah.
I never got to meet my grandmothers because they were gone long before me, right?
Wow, okay.
This lifetime. And once I realized years ago that I could communicate with my grandmothers, because even though I was seeing spirits as a child, I never put it together as a child. Ooh, let me call in my grandmother, right? Like, it didn't come with directions. So anyway, I invited both my grandmothers in, and I was about to get into bed to go to sleep, and I said, in this lifetime, I have no idea what it's like to feel grandmother's love. I said, so I asked one grandmother, will you please rub my back for me until I fall asleep? I asked the other grandmother if she would hold my hand until I fell asleep, and they did it.
Nice.
And that was my physical validation of like, oh, wow, it can be anyone that we can talk to.
Right? Yeah.
And feel, you know?
Yeah. So how did you get started channeling? How did you know that you could channel?
Well, to be honest with you, Mother Mary came to me and asked me if I would work with her. And originally I said no because I'm a recovering Catholic. And I have a friend who's a medium, who's been a medium her whole life, even when she was a little girl.
Yeah.
And she agreed to teach me, to train me, I should say, to get my ego out of the way and allow Mary to come through.
Wow.
So she was the first one to actually say to me, I want to work with you out in public. The first one to come to converse with me about my path was Krishna.
Oh, wow.
And then Chief Red Cloud. And then it just unfolded. And they said it was because they want people to know that, yeah, religion is good for in some parts.
Yep.
But man split the Ascended Masters up into different beliefs when they all support each other.
Right.
And everyone.
Right.
So it was so I trained with my friend for about a year. And then and then Mary tried to get me to do the rosaries, and I wouldn't do the rosaries. And then my friend brought me a book and said, "It's the Secrets of the Rosaries. Read this book." And I read it, and it was really interesting because a Native American woman, Kateri, which I have in my house, a painting of her, this Native woman, she designed the first rosary beads. She designed them, and they were based off of the Buddhist prayer beads and the Christian religion that came into the States, and the new Americas.
Nice.
Yeah.
I always
thought she got me to do them, but she doesn't want me to do them for religious reasons.
Right.
She wants me to do them because then it's really interesting, because when I do them, and I'll just share this, and then I want to put it back onto you with what you do, is that it clears and centers and balances me.
Yep.
It re-energizes, it replenishes my energy field. It's like drinking coffee.
Yeah.
I get a lot of insights. And then I can, after I do that, then I can put it down, and then I can go even deeper.
Nice. Yeah, I always had a feeling that all the different types of prayer beads must be related somehow. There's so many things that are cross-cultural that can't just be only one. No, this is the one true version of it.
Oh, exactly. And there's people out there that even believe historically that Jesus was Buddha.
Well, that makes some sense, because Buddha just means enlightened one. It's not, it can be anyone. It's certainly enlightened.
But I want to get back to talking about Wiccan and paganism, if you don't mind, because for a few more minutes before we end the show, because I want everybody to know how to get a hold of you. I'm really glad that people are being brave enough in this lifetime to get into the practice of it, because sure, there's negative things about it if you choose to do negative things about it, just like voodoo, just like shamanism.
Yep.
It's all intentions, but it's nice that that more people are being awakened through knowledge of the light side of it.
Right. Yeah.
Not right.
Yeah. I mean, because any spiritual practice or religion, there's going to be people who take it to one extreme or the other, and I have many books. Let's not talk about how many books I have.
I hear you.
Many books about the practice of magic, ceremonial magic, high magic, whatever you want to call it. And all of those books agree that magic is not black or white. It's just many shades of gray. And it comes down to the practitioner and their intention and their focus and what's their ultimate goal. Is your ultimate goal to be Pinky in the Brain and rule the world with everybody being submissive to you? Well, that's not so good for humanity. Right?
Plus, it's not good karmically.
Right? Or is your ultimate goal to bring people into knowledge and enlightenment? And, so for myself, I went from being a solitary practitioner of my lifestyle and my craft to I'm a high priestess in a coven, and I have a lot of students who the first thing I teach them is you are the most important tool in this craft. You're the most important tool that you ever will have. And it's nice. You can have all the books that you want and all the tarot cards and all of the wands and all, whatever. You can have the prettiest altar in the universe. But if you don't take care and respect and honor yourself, then all of those pretty objects are not going to help you. You know, you have to put yourself, and it's the age old adage, no matter what you believe, you know, the age old adage of you put God, the creator, that higher source first, and then you know, but you have to be there at the forefront, because if I don't take care of myself, who's going to take care of my children? Who's going to take care of my land? Who else is going to take care of me? You know?
Exactly. And that's another thing that women need to step more into. I'm glad you brought that up, because women, as you know, because you're about the same age as I am.
Yep.
You know, women were submissed and or subdued, and they're such an important part to society. And I'm not knocking men, okay? We're just not talking about them in the moment.
Right.
We're talking about women. And women are life givers. And it's so important for a woman to keep herself loved and nurtured and balanced and supported, so that you're right, so she can be the best that she can be for her service for Creator, whatever that is, and then for her children, her husband, if she has a husband, or a partner, because not everybody gets married today.
Right. Yeah.
And then it dwindles down. Yeah, but it has to. I believe to serve Creator or humanity, you have to serve yourself first, so that you can be all that you can be.
Right. Everything starts with you. You know, if I didn't take care of myself when I was pregnant with my son, if I didn't take care of myself, he wouldn't have been born.
It's the exact same thing. People will stop and change their behaviors and patterns when they become pregnant, or at least most people do.
Yeah.
They'll stop drinking. If they smoke pot, they'll give up pot. They'll change their eating habits. They'll eat healthier. And if they could just realize that if they could just do that for themselves personally, also, do it when you're pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
For a
Because
special occasion.
you agree with me, because you brought it up, that's what, regardless if you are a practicing Wiccan, if you're a healer, if you're a therapist, if you're an accountant,
right,
if you're a school teacher, it doesn't matter what you're doing in your life of service, because what's important is keeping yourself balanced so that you can.
Exactly. It's funny because what do they say? Well, my husband has a tree service, and so, you know, his motto is, because your yard should look like a park. You know, my yard does not look like a park.
I love it.
But that's okay, because other people's yards look like a park, you know. And it's funny when I say to him, well, shouldn't people they should come by our house and see, oh, what a beautiful yard we have, and then they're going to want to hire you. And he said, no, because they want to know that I'm spending all my time taking care of other people's property. But it takes me back to that. It starts with you. I want to go to an accountant whose books are perfect. You know, I want to go to a therapist that doesn't have overwhelming personal problems of their own.
I went to a therapist back in the early 80s, right? Because I had just discovered that I'd grown up in an alcoholic family.
Okay.
And I wanted to break the pattern. Anyway, I saw her one time, maybe twice, and this woman had stacks and stacks of files all around her desk. All there was room for was her desk, which had stuff on it, and a chair that I sat in. And I walked out of there and I said, I can help myself a lot more than this woman can help me.
Right. Yeah, she can't even keep her files straight.
She was so cluttered.
Yeah.
With probably you know, because a lot of people who are going to the therapist, we all know why they go into therapy, but they don't necessarily fully work on themselves.
Right.
I mean, they do in the classroom process, because I think you have to do a lot of family evaluation type stuff.
Yeah. Right. I'm sure they have to, you know, when I was studying herbalism, I had to heal myself. I had to be a case study for me. What's wrong with me? How can I heal myself? And if that works, then I can move into healing others.
Yeah, yeah, because it's really true. I mean, we all are, excuse me, we're all our healers. We all can channel, we all can medically be intuitive, at least for ourselves.
Yep.
And our children, because, you know, we're so close, and our spouses. And I just lost it. Can you pick it back up?
Well, yes, because we can all do it for ourselves, but then we practice that to be able to do it for others.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
It's Thanksgiving morning.
is. It is. And it's a beautiful day. The sun is now starting to come out here in Vermont.
Yep.
And
Here in Massachusetts too. I have my halo.
yeah, I'm so excited that we're so close to each other. Listen, there's 4 minutes left. So before we go anywhere else, because we can always talk another minute or two, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, please.
Okay, well, they can get a hold of me through my website, which is loonwitch.com, LOONWITCH.com. And I know this will be a big shock, but you can email me at loonwitch@gmail.com. On Facebook, where? Oh, Loon Witch. And you can also find me on our great project, the Spiritual Guidance Network, which is spiritualguidance.proboards.com. And you can find me listed as, oh, I don't know, the Loon Witch. So that's where I am. I live in southeastern Mass. So I'm in the New England area. I do travel up and down the East Coast from Maine to Florida and visit different shops and things like that. So even if you live in a different state and you know of a shop that you'd like to have me come and teach some classes, do some readings, you know, send me the information and I'll reach out to the shop owner and see what I can do.
It'd be fun to do an Eastern holistic road trip with you.
Yeah!
That would be fun!
Oh my God! We have to leave the fairies at home though, Jean.
Okay. Anyway, those who are listening on Blog Talk, if you want to catch the entire show, you can. It's after we finish. It's in the archives. It's recorded, and you can find it on Google Plus and YouTube under the Healing Circle number 42 for today's show. It's always the Healing Circle, and each week it's a different number. And I'm Jean Selch, also known as Jean of Divine Healing. And I'm also a healer, and I do a multidimensional healer channel. And you can also find me on the spiritualbistro.com along with the Loon Witch. And I also have my first radio show debut next Wednesday on December 3rd at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Spiritual Guidance Network Radio. Woohoo!
Yay!
And Shaw, when is your first radio show? We've got like less than 60 seconds.
Oh my God. Well, Michelle and I are actually doing Wicked Wednesday next Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. And then Celebrating Your Success with Shah will air in January. The first Sunday in January.
Awesome. I can't wait. I'll have to be tuning in.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks for having me, Jean.
Thanks for being on, Shah. Thank you, Loon Witch. Happy Thanksgiving and many blessings. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for joining us. We're so grateful.
This is it.
Remember, you are love. You are value. Namaste. Aho. God bless you. See you next week. And remember, you are love. Bye-bye.
Bye.